Trust?
Yes.
Sure.
So the motion is to table it and reconsider it after 90 days? Yes.
And I'll say yes. That's what we'll do. All right, Mr. Ross, can you go ahead through the city manager?
Would you like for me to get put on the agenda in 3 months?
The city manager will table that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could just add one thing, and this is not a statement for or against Councilman Loriak, but just to clarify something Ms. Yates was asking, it's actually not, there's actually not 12 allowed in the code, it's actually 4 allowed in the code because it's per residence. It's not more than 4 per residence, and there's only 1 resident, so actually 4 is the maximum. You're actually giving a variance, if you will, for 20 animals. 20 animals. I just wanted to clarify that, just so you know.
Thank you.
It's 2 residents, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, Mr. Waski.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for everybody for working on this.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 10, advertised public hearing. We do not have any tonight. So hearing of citizens generally on non-agenda items. Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to talk on items that are not on the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing none.
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 issues I'd like to bring up that aren't on the agenda very briefly.
Okay.
One is I want to thank members of City Council. I want to thank the citizens. I want to thank the city employees for all of the condolences and all of the responses in regards to late wife's death. I appreciate everything. I apologize I have not been more prompt in getting the thank yous out, but I've been rather overwhelmed. But I do appreciate everything that the citizens have done and said, and city council members. And especially, I want to commend the emergency medical technicians that responded from the Colonial Heights EMS service. They were very compassionate, very professional, and extraordinarily helpful. Also, I would like to thank Chief Moore and the officers for their very moving tribute with regard to their stance when the motorcade to the cemetery was being conducted. I really appreciate that. The family and a lot of out-of-town residents that were family friends were quite impressed that the city of Colonial Heights is as close-knit a community as it is, which is my segue into the third point. And I'm speaking just for me. However, I think I'm speaking for a lot of other folks as well. I want to express my appreciation and confidence in the police officers and the sheriff's deputies that in Colonial Heights every day go out and are at risk. The recent unpleasantness that has erupted as a result of a misguided justification to impose mayhem and havoc on people they do not know for reasons that only they can understand, place our officers and our sheriff's deputies at risk. At least in my wife's situation, she died at home, in peace, in the bosom of her family, with some expectation of illness. The Colonial Heights police officers and the sheriff's deputies in Colonial Heights go out every day with no such expectation. And in my 40 years of dealing with the sheriff's department and with the police department, the officers and their supervisors have always been respectful, have always been professional, have always been compassionate and equal in their treatment. And I think that one of the reasons the city has had as good a record in its safety is because the citizens respect what the officers and how they conduct themselves. and Sheriff, and Chief Moore, and Chief Ferris, and you also, Mr. City Manager. I want to say to all citizens, both inside and outside of Colonial Heights, that here, my experience has always been that those officers have been as compassionate, as equal and fair, and as understanding as any officer I've ever had contact with anywhere in the United States. And while there may be police departments and there may be law enforcement agencies elsewhere that may have problems, I would suggest to the citizens and to those that are in our immediate vicinity that those problems do not exist here, and that our officers not only deserve the respect and cooperation that any officer should, but our thanks, and especially for me, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of folks here, council, that we stand with our officers and our deputies and our firemen, because they have done, down through the years, as the sheriff has indicated and the police chief has indicated back years ago when Jimmy Pond was an officer, and it's gone back for years, Chief Ellison, and the environment, the culture, the attitude that has been expressed by our law enforcement agencies has always been very fair, very equal, very compassionate, and I think that we don't stand alone in that, but I think the city of Colonial Heights is fortunate in the way that we have had such a professional agency down through the years, and anything that I can do or anything we can do to promote an awareness that when people come to Colonial Heights, they need not fear any mistreatment or any unequal treatment, and that we would not tolerate any sort of intentional or unintentional mayhem. We are the ones that work very hard to make sure that Colonial Heights is an open and compassionate city, and I do applaud and I do commend our law enforcement officers for being on the front line and being the first face of Colonial Heights to a lot of folks that I have talked to that were just recently, men and women that came into this town that do not know Colonial Heights, and have said on numerous occasions any contact that they had was only the best and the most honest and the most respectful, and that is the way that we can move forward. We keep hearing a lot about folks speaking how we can work together, and organize together, and work in a unison. And without law enforcement, without our sheriff's deputies, and without folks in the emergency medical technician and the fire department, we can't do that. These first responders have done much. They will do much. They are at substantial risk. I want you to understand that I realize that, our citizens realize that, and we stand with you and behind you, and we believe that you have been exemplary in your treatment of citizens with whom you come in contact, and we certainly would expect that to go forward in the future, and I just want to commend you and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. And just to follow up, Mr. Wood, on behalf of the City Council as well as the citizens in the city, our thoughts and prayers are still with you and your family as you go through this. We're here to support you in any way we can.
Appreciate that.
Yes. Moving on to item number 12, consideration of uncontested minutes, ordinances, resolutions, and motions in accordance with the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read that.
A, an ordinance number 16-15 for second reading to amend chapter 250 subdivision of land of the code of the city of Colonial Heights by updating antiquated language and references contained within the chapter, by adding sections 250-90 and by repealing sections 250-4 250-12, 250-40, 47, 48, 58, 66, 67, 68, 70, 72, 73, 74, 78, 80, 83, 84, and 86. B, an ordinance number 16-19 for second reading, to grant a special use permit to Lundy Holdings LLC and C&T Land LLC to allow for an office and restaurant development located at 2500 Boulevard to operate with fewer parking spaces than the city code specifies. C, an ordinance number 16-21 for second reading, to vacate an approximate 0.174 acre parcel of undeveloped public right-of-way which is located near the corner of MacArthur Avenue and Elko Avenue, and which is adjacent to property owned by Kroger Limited Partnership 1, parcel ID number 5400020000H, on its eastern boundary line and adjacent to property owned by Michael L. Wells, parcel ID number 540040E040 on its western boundary line. D, an ordinance number 16-22 for second reading, to vacate as public right-of-way an approximate 0.056 acre parcel which fronts Temple Avenue on its northern boundary line and its boundary by property owned by Kroger Limited Partnership 1, parcel ID number 5400020000H on its eastern, southern, and western boundary lines. Such right-of-way being the former Temple Avenue entrance to the old courthouse parking lot. E, an ordinance number 16-11 for second reading, to amend the general fund budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30, 2016, to transfer $14,415 from reserve asset forfeiture federal Commonwealth Attorney to judicial to provide partial funding for the replacement of the case management software in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. F, October 13, 2015 regular meeting minutes. G, October 20, 2015 special meeting minutes. H, May 10, 2016 special meeting minutes. And I, June 14, 2016 special meeting minutes.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call now.
Mr. Grenier?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Lutz? Yes. Mr. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Yates? Yes. Mayor Kachuba?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item number 13, introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. 13A, ordinance number 16-10-13, first reading, to amend the general fund budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2017 to appropriate funds in the aggregate amount of $9,388 to net constitutional officer recovery to be added to contingencies and $2,207,104 in reallocations and modification of budget and general salary adjustments effective July 1st, 2016, a modification of existing positions and upgrading of employee salaries, lapse amounts. So I have a motion to approve. Second. Mr. City Manager, it looks like we have some financial transactions going on. It looks like we got money from the state of 9.3K. That's going to go into contingency, and then you're moving money for the pay COLA or the pay increase, correct?
That's correct. This is money, new money as pretty much as stated in the heading. Funds got updated, more accurate funds from the state as it relates to constitutional offices and making those adjustments. And then this is basically just, as you know, typically when we approve the budget, we include all the funds necessary for pay increase and for employee benefits. This action is simply to spread it out amongst the various departments, which it has. No adverse impact on the budget, just approved for that. Actually, there's, as the mayor said, an increase in contingency in the Constitution.
Any council members have any questions for the city manager or the director of finance? Hearing none, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Grenier?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Lutz? Yes. Mr. Petrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Yates? Yes. Mayor Kachuba?
Yes. Moving on to item 13B, ordinance number 16-23, first reading to adopt and revise general pay plan class and salary range that includes new grade assignments for the Director of Information Technology, paralegal / deputy city clerk, executive assistant, and administrative assistant, and adopts revised descriptions for 3 of the positions. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. City Manager, do you want to give us an update on?
This is actually, it's primarily an updated pay plan to reflect the COLA increase you just approved. And then along with that, there's some minor administrative adjustments to positions as listed. Probably the most significant is the actual creation of a director of IT position that I think many assume we already had, but it's not a new position, there's no change. Karen Saunders will be staying in that position. She's functioned in that capacity really the full time I've been here. I think it was, even though her job isn't going to change any, it's appropriate that she have a department title as director. And then the other changes are simply to make grade changes to allow for more flexibility with those positions. And then in the case of the deputy city clerk, paralegal, and the executive assistant, we made some minor adjustments in those job duties and elevated that to a different grade too. But all that action is contemplated in the budget and have no adverse effect on the budget as approved. There will be a couple minor salary adjustments along with that, but these are all within the established procedure within the discretion of the manager.
And you said the budget does not impact
It does not, the funding, any funding associated with it is already approved.
Any council members discussion or questions? Mr. Green.
No question, but a comment. I think that this is good foresight on the part of the city administration. Most of the people that we're talking about that will be impacted by this are excellent employees and have been for years, and this will give them the opportunity to not be kept out of their current jobs, which might cause us to inadvertently encourage them to look elsewhere if they can't continue somewhat with mobility. So I'm pleased that we have the foresight here that will enable them to want to continue to remain with us and continue to do the excellent work they've done for us in the past. So I fully support this.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Anyone else? Mr. Wood?
Yes, Mr. City Manager, in looking at these modifications, I realize that there's no economic impact, and I realize there are no really changes of duty. But I'm looking under the administrative assistant, seems to be crossed out under 13, grade 13, and we are adding there essentially paralegal, and that would have also a deputy assistant to the city clerk.
The ones that are crossed out are moved to a different grade. You'll find those in a different location.
That position, Mr. Wood, is actually moved from grade 14 to grade 15 along with the executive assistant. And the old job title was legal assistant deputy city clerk. It really hasn't changed much. We just made the job title paralegal / deputy city clerk. She doubles as the deputy city clerk now.
Really? Okay.
She does.
All right. Okay. I know that that's who usually is on base when the regular city clerk is indisposed elsewhere. So that is essentially no real change.
It's not. It basically gives her, as the city manager said, basically gives the paralegal, deputy city clerk, and the executive assistant more flexibility for growth. That's really primarily what it does.
The only thing that concerns me is that my understanding is a paralegal, and I'm not suggesting this is undesirable, but what gives me pause is the city employees, such as a paralegal, is under the immediate authority of the department head, subject to ultimately the authority of the city manager, whereas the city clerk is reportable to city council. And the concern I would have is that there may be a problem of two masters, and that would cause a concern with regard. But if the function is, as you say, and you don't anticipate any problems, I just might be a bit concerned that you have an employee that may justifiably say, I'm doing what my department head is saying, when perhaps they function as a deputy clerk may not necessarily satisfy a council member.
And in that case, I would simply say that it would behoove the city attorney to listen to what the council member
I don't think there's any confusion about who they know who to listen to first.
No,
But I think in this case, again, to be specific, there is one thing I wanted to mention about that. We did change the title to include paralegal because that's the way it works now. There's a note because we had kind of an issue about this before. Job description says paralegal preferred, so even that, not mandating that position be licensed that way. But that position reports directly to the city attorney, reports directly to the council, so I don't think we can have the conflict we're talking about.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Green.
the fact that we have a paralegal / deputy city clerk, the workload, and I think we're all aware that our city attorney or council attorney performs, and his secretary is above and beyond a secretary. They probably easily justify a third person in that office, but they don't. They handle it themselves. The deputy city clerk would constitute a deputy to the city clerk, which would be another position, and we're doing neither. We have one person doing both above and beyond what their current titles are. I think these title changes are completely rational and past due, and certainly being able to move the pay grade to accommodate the work that they've already been doing is more than justified. But we are preventing hiring at least one, if not two positions here by this upgrade, in my opinion.
Mr. Green, you agree?
Well, we're not going to have the conflict that you're concerned about.
Currently, with regard to the information technology administrator, we moved to class 18 to executive position. That position is being elevated to a department head. Are there any employees subject directly to that department? Just to see that.
Does anybody answer for Karen?
Yes, she has one.
She does have one employee that reports to
Not
her.
one other full-time.
They support the entire city.
Right.
Again, Mr. City Manager, no impact on the budget.
Correct.
No impact on the budget currently.
Correct.
But in the future, what we're doing is that you're moving positions from one pay grade to a higher pay grade, which ultimately is going to have an economic impact because it's ultimately going to be a higher paid position as people move on. The question is, as Mr. Green so eloquently pointed out, that this is going to be a way of increasing the upward mobility financial compensation to these employees because the pay scale will be higher. The question being, is that justifiable? And I would ask the city manager, do you believe that the modifications that you characterize as minimal at this time are justifiable in light of the economic impact they will have in the future? In other words, simply stated, do you think that the work product of the persons that are being affected higher pay scale in the future.
I do. It's appropriate.
And would you
In
say
most
that
cases overdue.
overdue and appropriate, and would it be competitive with other localities of similar size and similar dues?
To my knowledge, I would say generally, yes.
You would say we would be competitive. That's all?
Mr. Mayor, if I could add to, just to address John's concern, the issue about the escalating salaries, in my opinion, Bill better wanted me to speak to it, but it appears to me that that's not nearly the issue, or it's not going to have nearly the impact as it would if the city were regularly giving merit increases. The fact the city is not giving merit increases, except very seldom, is going to minimize the impact on those pay scales, if you follow what I'm saying. The fact that the city's giving, in effect, COLAs and increasing the cap at some time for all employees is generally what's going on now. There would be much more of an impact if, as 15 years ago, people were getting 3-5% merit increases every year. Now, Bill may be better able to address that than me, but that's my perspective.
And not to suggest that the specific employees aren't doing what they should, or that they aren't doing a great job. It's just that with the economic conditions that are out there, city positions are being more and more competitive in the private sector. And the private sector is not offering the benefit fringe package nor the security that city employment normally does. And consequently, you're seeing this throughout the country at state, local, and federal levels as employees are reaching higher and higher pay scales and are becoming a larger and larger portion of the workforce. And this is a way of, I don't want to call it creep, but it is a way of creating a upward ladder, and that concerns me a bit, not specifically with the individuals that we're dealing with today, but as a policy matter in the future, in having created positions that have such compensation of a higher level for whoever is going to be in that position. What we're doing is we are creating higher and higher levels of compensation. Now, obviously, if they're competitive, obviously, if we are satisfied that the services that we obtain have to pay those levels, I'm in agreement with that. It just concerns me that each time we make these modifications, and there are notable cities, both in Virginia and outside of Virginia, that are going in the opposite direction in order to maintain their budgets. And I'm not suggesting that we do that, but what I'm suggesting is, considering the economics of the current situation, that we need to be careful that we compensate fairly, but don't necessarily have situations where we lose control of the compensation packages that we offer. That's my only concern. Not individuals, but just as a generalized policy member. The city manager tells me that it's commensurate and that it is overdue and that it is appropriate. I will defer to the administration's analysis of the situation. It just seems to me that governing compensation across the board in many state, local, and federal positions are increasing more rapidly than the private sector. And I think that's one of the reasons we see as many applications for public positions as we do. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Would you like to give a comment?
Just to help Mr. Wood ease his mind, I might remind you that this is a working document at the pleasure of council. We can always change it back if we need to, but
It's hard to take back what one has given, though.
well, if someone leaves the position and another person would